It's not easy. You can't just get this position in the fire service. They don't just hand these jobs out. You have to earn this position. You have to earn that seat in the fire engine, and we have to earn that position every day.
Enchanted Sky Media.
From the Enchanted Sky Studios in Prescott, Arizona, this is Code 3, the Firefighters podcast, hosted by award-winning journalist Scott Orr. Code 3 features interviews with leading members of the fire service, discussing firefighting strategies, tactics, and other topics you need to know more about. Now, here's Scott.
That's right, and I will not let Parkinson's stop me. Thank you for joining me again here on Code 3. You are listening to the show for and about firefighters. Let's get started. If you want to become a firefighter, the first thing to understand is that it is not easy. There's a lot of school required nowadays, and it can take several years to get there. But there are some things to know that'll make the process easier. Here to talk about them is Chris Baker. Chris has over 13 years of experience in volunteer, combination, and career fire departments in California. He instructs on fire and EMS topics in college classes. You can hear him on his own podcast, The Future Firefighter, where he's a co-host. And he runs Chris Baker Consulting, which provides training on techniques and career planning. And Chris Baker joins me now. Welcome to Code 3.
Scott, thank you for having me on the show. I'm honored to be a guest.
Today we're talking about becoming a firefighter. Where do you start when you have the idea that you want to do this as a career?
Well, Scott, that's an excellent question. And I think we've all been there. We've all, at some point in our careers, been at that entry level start where we're thinking about exploring this as a career, either becoming a volunteer or becoming a reserve, an explorer, signing up for a Firefighter 1 Academy. Usually we have some sort of a process to where, how do we get into the fire service? And so one thing that I highly recommend is to stop by your local firehouse in your local community, talk to the firefighters that work in the area that you reside, and ask them how they got started. That's usually a great conversation. You can ask them how they got their start. Another option is to go visit your local community college. You can go and talk to a fire technology director or the coordinator or the director of your local fire academy. And there might be some classes that you might be able to take at your local community college to help you see if this is a career that you're thinking about exploring. So those are a couple options that you can do if you're thinking about getting into the fire service.
Is this a career where you want to move to where you want to be a firefighter? And by that, what I mean is, if I want to work for FDNY, do I want to move to New York City, or do I want to become a firefighter in a smaller town and then apply there?
If this is something that you've decided, you've thought about it, you've talked with your friends and your family, it's always good to have a mentor, have a sounding board, have someone that you can ask questions to. And that's another good question that mentees ask me quite often. And my best advice to them is think about where you want to serve, what community you want to serve, where you're going to have a support system, where you're going to have a good solid foundation, either friends or family members that reside in that area. Obviously, you want to think about homes and home values, and where do you want to reside. We all have dream departments. We all have departments that we want to work in. And another good friend of mine suggested to get a map and put pins on the map on where you would like to work. And then you really have to do some research. You have to see what the cost of living is in those areas. You have to see what departments are hiring in those areas, what education certifications that they require. to work and reside in those areas. The best advice that was given to me when I first started in this career was, if you want to get a job somewhere, you need to move there. You need to move somewhere close to that area, and you need to see what's the cost of living like, and what's the traffic like, and can you afford to live in that area? Because if you get hired, if you get that opportunity to work for your dream department, you're going to have to think about commuting. You're going to have to think about the academy. You're going to have to think about finding a place to stay, either an apartment or a townhouse or a rental. You're going to have to think about all of those things. So it's better to prepare in the beginning and think about all those different scenarios before you start applying and get your dream job.
Now, for people who have the idea that this career is a learn-on-the-job sort of thing, let's disabuse them of that idea right now, because aside from the academy, there's generally college courses involved in fire science and EMS. Tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue. So education is very important. We have several different things that we look at. I've been an educator in the California Community College system for 9 years now as a college instructor. And we look at education, we look at time and grade, we look at certification, all of that to round out your experience. Education is paramount. Education is very important. And the college, all the colleges in California and across the country, in Arizona and other states, they follow what's called the FESHI curriculum. And the FESHI curriculum, you're going to take 6 core classes, and those 6 core classes are similar. They might have a different title, but the content's going to be the same. And those 6 courses make up your AS degree in fire science. And that education is paramount. You're going to learn about fire behavior. You're going to learn about building construction. You're going to learn about fire prevention, fire equipment and systems. You're going to learn an introduction to fire. And you're also going to learn about firefighter safety and survival. Through those 6 courses, it usually takes a couple semesters. You're going to get a well-rounded education to help you when you get into a Firefighter 1 Academy. That's going to help you throughout your career.
So at what point then do we start looking for a mentor? Is that something we do while we're still in school, or do we wait until afterwards?
I think it's paramount to search for a mentor as soon as you can. It's paramount. A lot of these questions that you're asking me right now, they're excellent questions for a mentor. Where do I want to work, and where do I want to reside? And how do I sign up for the fire academy, and which college classes do I take? So as you're beginning to embark on this career, try to find a mentor. Try to find someone that you can bounce questions off of, and that you can ask questions. And then there's no stupid questions. There's no questions that you should be scared of asking a mentor. We talked earlier about stopping by a local fire station and talking to a firefighter about how they got their start. That's mentorship. So just by you going by your local fire station and talking to your local firefighters that work there, that might be an opportunity for them to share some information with you and give you some mentorship. I believe it's paramount to establish a relationship with a mentor that can help you and assist you throughout your career. Not only can they assist you and help you, but they can also hold you accountable. They can be a resource while you're going through the academy. And most importantly, when you get out there on the testing circuit and you start applying for jobs, it's like a roller coaster. There's going to be hills and there's going to be valleys. And it's paramount to have that mentor that you can call and say, hey, I just applied for this position and I didn't get it. Can you help me? Can we do some mock interviews? Can you maybe look at my resume, or can you look at my cover letter? Can you give me some more assistance on the written exam, or maybe it's the interview process. So that mentor can definitely help you through the testing process as well.
Okay, so we've decided where we want to live, where we want to go to school. We've maybe found a mentor. What is the program like once you get into it? I mean, you've got college classes and then you have the fire academy.
It's a lot of dedication. When you look at a fire academy here in California, it's a semester, it's a college semester, and you're looking at approximately about 6 months. You're going to have early days, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then you're going to have late days where you're not going to leave the fire academy until 7, 8 o'clock at night. So the biggest thing to do is to prepare, to make sure that you have a good support system, make sure that you have a good family. If you might have to move back home, you might have to find some roommates to live with. You might have to find, something that's affordable. It's difficult to work a full-time job during the same time that you're taking an academy, just because it's so involved as far as the academy, as far as studying. I can remember, staying up till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, reading and getting ready for midterm exams. And then we would have to be on the grinder for PT at about 4 o'clock in the morning. So you have to make sure that you can commit that much amount of time. You have to be prepared for PT. We PT'd every day. You have to be prepared for long days. You have to be prepared that you might not be able to leave the grinder until 7, 8 o'clock at night once everything has been cleaned, stowed, and put away. The weekends were full of studying and doing evolutions. In my academy, we got together and had study groups on the weekends to help each other. So those are the biggest points when you're looking at going to an academy. A, can I commit that much time? B, do I have enough scaffolding? Do I have enough relationships, a network of people that can support me while I'm going through this academy? C, can I save up some money? Most of the firefighters in this area in California, they're seasonal. They get laid off. They save up some money so that way they can take 6 months off to go to an academy. So you have to make sure that your finances, or you have a savings account to be able to afford that. And then you also have to be able to afford the academy. Typically, academies are going to range, between $3,000 to $4,000 to $5,000 for the leasing of the turnouts and supplies and textbooks and uniforms. So if you go to a community college, they might be able to help you with some financial assistance. You might be able to get some financial aid. You might be able to get, for example, like a Pell Grant, or they might be able to help you with your tuition. So if you are financially disadvantaged, if you have some hardships, make sure and ask your community college counselors, and they might be able to help you as far as your preparation and preparing to save up that money, so that way you can afford an academy. So all of those things that we look at when I have a potential candidate that comes and asks me about going into the fire academy, those are things that we discuss. In the past, I would say 10 years, I've had the opportunity to teach in 20 Firefighter 1 academies. And so those questions are excellent questions. And again, having that mentor, having someone to ask questions about your uniform or scholarships or grants, or how can you afford the academy, all those kind of things is what we discuss.
Nowadays, you've got to be pretty much an EMT to ride an engine. Some departments require or would like you to be a paramedic. Where do you stand on the idea of getting your paramedic certification at the same time you're going through fire classes? Is that wise, or would you wait?
That's a perfect segue. So as we're building on education, we covered the Firefighter 1 Academy. We've kind of covered the AS degree. EMS is such a huge component of what we do. 70 to 80% of our calls are EMS related. And on my show, the through fire engineering, the Future Firefighter, last month I had the opportunity to have Rescue Captain Justin Shore from San Francisco on my show, and Justin's the happy medic. And that was a topic that we discussed, was becoming an EMT and or becoming a paramedic. Majority of departments are requiring paramedics. And so if you really look at the future of our profession and you look at the future of the fire service, it's really a no-brainer to be able to give better care to your patients, to be able to do more for them, and to be able to, if you look at it from like a taxpayer's point of view, from the customer's point of view, they're getting a highly trained, not only just a firefighter, but they're getting a highly trained firefighter paramedic that would be able to do so much more for them. So those are all the things that we look at. I highly recommend, if this is a career that you're thinking about going into, to consider getting your EMT. Think about being able to give the best possible care. And that would be going through a paramedic school, a paramedic program. Typically, an EMT program is going to take you about 6 months. A paramedic program, when you look at all of the didactic and all the stuff that you have to do in the clinicals and hospital time and the 5-call, all that from the classroom to the field, you're probably looking at about 1.5 to 2 year process. So this actually goes perfect into a conversation that I typically have with my mentees, and we call it a CAP, a career action plan. So when we sit down, that's one of the things that we look at. We have to start somewhere. So are we going to start as a volunteer? Are we going to start as a reserve, maybe an explorer, maybe a paid call firefighter? Maybe they're going to go into a Firefighter 1 Academy and or go into an EMT program. And then when we look at the 2 year process, it might build up to a paramedic program. So those are kind of stepping stones to be able to be. I really believe that if you go through a Firefighter 1 Academy, you go through an EMT program, and you go through a paramedic program, in the process of about 2 years, you're going to be hireable. You're going to be highly desired by a majority of fire departments across the country for a position as a firefighter paramedic.
Let's take a look at a situation that most people would prefer not to think of. In your experience, how common is it for people to simply not be able to make it through the program after all?
We have setbacks. Some of the best advice that was shared with me was fail forward. And sometimes the hardest lessons we have to live. And a lesson lived is a lesson learned. So it's in those failures that we get to learn what we're made of. We get to learn about our character. And when we fail, we learn. So I don't have all the answers. I'm not by no means an expert, and I don't know everything. And I learn something new every day. And I try to make the commitment of being a lifelong learner. It's okay to have setbacks. It's okay to have failures. It's okay to have those milestones to where you have to really have introspection, and you have to look in yourself, and you have to find, okay, how did I fail? What did I do wrong? How can I do better? And that happened. I've had several mentees that have failed through either EMT school or the fire academy or paramedic school. Usually they've failed not just once or twice. I have a friend that failed paramedic school 3 times. And so every one of those challenges, those adversity, those setbacks, you get to learn much more about what you're made of. And the key is not to give up. If this is really what you want to do, deep down in your heart of hearts, you want to be a public servant, it's not easy. You can't just get this position in the fire service. They don't just hand these jobs out. You have to earn this position. You have to earn that seat in the fire engine, and we have to earn that position every day. And nothing is given out in the fire service. And I've seen excellent firefighters, excellent EMTs, excellent paramedics that have had to learn the hard way, that have had maybe some adversity. Maybe they were in a valley. Maybe they failed at some point in the process. And you really know what you're made of when you stick with it and you get to that graduation, or you get to have that National Registry EMT card in your hand, or that paramedic certificate. You really know what you're made of when you accomplish those goals.
All right, Chris Baker, some great career advice. Thanks for being with me on Code 3.
Scott, thank you so much. I'm a fan of your show. I listen to your show, and I really appreciate everything that you do for our honored profession.
And we put some more information about joining this great and proud profession on our website at code3podcast.com/advice. Check it out. All right, that's it. That's all for this edition of Code 3. This time we talked about what it takes to get into firefighting. I'd like to hear your stories. Was it as tough for you? If you're in the process right now, what advice do you have for others? Just email me, scott@code3podcast.com, or leave a voicemail at 562-337-9902. I will read your comments and play some back on a future show. Thank you for listening. I'll be back next time with more, and I hope you'll join me. I'm Scott Orr, and until then, stay safe.
Code 3 is a production of Enchanted Sky Media. To contact us, get more information on today's topic, or subscribe to the podcast, go to code3podcast.com.